ecological issues. They affect us all. And so, tonight on Second Nature, we'll be recycling some old nature footage.
You went on a live stream claiming you gave my chain a gift to the police. I went to the police and it's not there. Then I see you message me and you threaten me. You didn't threaten me with the knife?
No, I didn't.
Punch me again, I swear to God, watch what happens.
You need to back up. You need to leave now,
Or what?
Or I'm going to beat your
Make me. Don't make me drop you, Chance. Back up. Back up. I try to be your friend.
You didn't do shit.
The only one that stood up for you, all the trolls, you're begging. Help me, help me.
I'll knock your ass out.
Do it.
Wait.
Do it.
No.
Do it.
No.
Because you lost.
I lost. You're a bitch. So's your girl.
Chance?
So back up.
You're a pedo. You're a pedo.
And you're a dick.
And you put your hands on me so you got punched. That's one punch. Come here. Come here. Come here. You want to do it again? You want to do it again?
Alex! The fuck? Alex, come on! Wow.
Let me ride. Let's start the fucking show, eh?
I will never leave YouTube!
I don't give a fuck about the fucking law. I'll beat your ass.
Don't come to my channel again! You will be banned!
I'll beat your ass.
You officially entered the wet panty zone.
Folks, here we are. Let's change scenes. Here we are. It's Thursday night. Sorry if the audio was doubled. I noticed the desktop audio was open. But that aside, folks, thank you for being here for another Thursday night. A Weirdo Wonderland. A weird one indeed. Yes, Cryraxx got punched again. I'm not sure the whole story, but hopefully we'll get a little bit of it later. Tonight, just so you know, for those joining, and I'll repeat this later, this is going to be a little bit of a shorter one. I was pretty busy today, and I didn't have time to put together the whole show and stuff. But we still got something. I always say that, and it ends up being like 3 hours anyways. But we do got some stuff. We got the Christian, Muslims, Pagans, and Jews. Been doing some streams. Of course, J-Dubs, like a little bitch, has hit all the content on his channel. But I was able to get at least one of them. And thanks to Fat Photog, it looks like he got some of the rage out from last week. So we're going to check out some of that tonight. We're going to check out the Cryraxx situation. I see Shanny's been putting out stuff. She's fighting with Foodie Beauty. I might go over to her channel and watch a short video. And like I said, just ended off with lots of Von Helton. So if that's the itch you need scratched, you came to the right spot, folks. Please, thumbs it up. Like I said, I just was busy today. I haven't had a whole lot of time to put something together. But we got something. So let's get our drinks poured. And we're going to get right into it. We're skipping all the bullshit. We're just getting right into it. Alright, let's get a drink. It was a beautiful day today. A little overcast, a little muggy. It's nice and warm. I actually had to turn the air conditioning in the car on. I couldn't believe it. Alright, here we go. Oh yeah, right there. Right there. Ladies and gentlemen, cheers. Let's try it out. There we go. We are ready to rock. Folks, please thumbs it up, all that good stuff. Like I said, we're going to get right into it. We're going to skip musical numbers. We're going to skip all kinds of stuff. Let's see. I just want to make sure we got what we got. Oh, please tell me that got this. Why is it saying only 2 seconds? Oh, folks, we might not have it. Oh, no. Oh, no. Say it ain't so. I want to check it out here. I got a bad feeling, folks. It says 2 seconds. I hope it got more than 2
kinetic war or bombing.
That's all it got? Are you kidding me? Oh, folks, it made a liar out of me. Gee whiz. Gee whiz. Well, I tell you what. Let's do this. That sucks. That sucks. Fucking J-Dubs hiding his shit. I tell you what. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's go over to Fat Photog's channel. And let's work our way through. So we're going to take a look. Here is from last week, where we got a little bit of an upset where Sammy and J-Dubs kind of get into it a little bit. Sammy gets a little excited. So we're going to go up there. Thanks to Fat Photog. I'll share the link in a moment. Folks, thanks for joining. Let's get into it here.
Yeah, how are you going to dig yourself out of the mess you're in?
We can't. That's why we need the gods and goddesses of freedom religion, because we can't do it by ourselves, which is what I keep telling everybody. You cannot do this. If you are trusting a man to get you out of this shit, you're an insane idiot, because it's not going to happen.
Lay down the law. The Messiah is going to drop the people's elbow and knock all you fuckers out to the next century.
For the Jews, he's going to save the Jews, and he's going to protect the Jews, and I'm okay with that. He's not going to protect America. If anything, he'll destroy America, but he's certainly not going to protect America. No.
As long as America,
I read the fucking Torah. It even says in the goddamn Torah, he's coming for his people. He's not coming for my pagan ass. He's coming for the Jews.
Listen, Vaughn. As long as America loves Trump and keeps Trump as president, the Messiah is not going to fuck with America.
I don't know about that. What I do know is that when I read the Torah,
I don't care. I told you for years, and I said God will compel the Jews to leave America, and that means you're going to go through a lot of trouble, a lot of hardship, a lot of pain.
We ain't going through no trouble. Dude, we're not going through no trouble. Trust me. I assure you. The Jews here in America are perfectly happy where they're at. They're not going to leave. I guarantee you.
Well, this is where you're just as blind as shit.
You can line up a bunch of turbojets.
I'm telling you, you're blind. You're just as delusional, and you're willfully blinding yourself to what's about to happen.
Well, I
agree with you a lot, Sammy. I agree with you a lot, but this is one thing where I disagree with you on. I think the American Jewish people, they're sucking the teat of America. And they don't want to give it up. They don't want to give it up. They're going to suck America dry.
Well, this is where you get. All right, you have a normie in Shannon, and this
I need Gmail. Someone get a hold of Gmail now.
Are stubbornly sticking to. This is normie like
donated
$3.33.
Everyone J-Dubs will never be beaten.
Well, now you're going to go on your rant about the fucking Jews.
They love America.
I don't fucking care if they love America. God's judgment is going to be falling on America soon, and they will not be there much longer. I'm sorry.
These Jew bags, let me tell you something. The Jews, they're going to be sucking on the nipple of America, and the Messiah is going to say, listen, stop. We're coming back to Israel. I'm redeeming you. And the Jew bag is going to be like this. Fuck you. I like the sucking on the tit of America.
Well, you have them in here. You have some of the trolls that I believe are Jewish that actually hate listening to this. That's why they call me scammy. They call me like I'm lying or something, like I'm deceiving them. And I'm telling you, just as we said in the opening of the show, whose will is stronger? Who is the one that's going to defeat the will of every human being on this planet if they oppose him? It's the creator of the universe. You don't give Trump credit for everything he's done, his accomplishments. How dare you not even give God credit for being stronger than the will of the stiff-necked Jews of America? Okay. Just like the stiff-necked Hebes of Egypt. How do you think he broke them? He broke them finally.
Yeah, with a death angel.
The Israelites of Egypt.
With a death angel. It took the death angel to break them.
He saved them. He redeemed them. He pulled them out of there, mostly against their will. It's the same process now.
Yeah, but
they're bitching, they're moaning, they're crying. they're crying and they're like, like beating a temper tantrum. They're having a temper tantrum, and they're like whining and bitching and moaning. But they know their time is up, just like that David Portnoy guy. Instead of realizing why it's happening, they'll whine, complain, bitch, and moan, and then God will break them one way or another. And this will be by passing judgment on all of America.
Sammy?
Listen, that's a great example, Sammy. Dave Portnoy, he's gonna be sucking down a beautiful Trace cheeseburger with Chazer, and the Messiah is gonna come, and Dave Portnoy is such a fucking piece of shit scumbag. He's gonna tell the Messiah himself to go fuck himself because he knows better. That's the type of piece of shit Dave Portnoy is, okay?
All right, let me tell you what you did. You think you didn't have this personality 3,400 years ago in Egypt?
And then you know what's going to happen, Sammy? You know what the Messiah's going to do? The Messiah's going to bop Dave on the head. He's going to bop him on the head and send him to the fucking naughty place where he fucking belongs.
Look, well, you have the same thing playing itself out again. The ones that are willfully ignorant, willfully blinding themselves.
Yeah,
normally,
that's the Dave Portnoy.
Well, that's the Shannon. That's the Shannon Shiksa there as well. That's the Goyish Shiksa blinding herself and being a normie. You got half the country being like that. Not just the fucking Jews. America's in trouble, baby.
America is in fucking big trouble, and it's the goddamn fucking Jews.
Just for the record, I'm the only pagan here. These guys are Jews. Just thought I'd clarify that.
Listen, let me tell you something. When the Messiah comes, I'm going to fucking grab hold of that. I'm going to grab hold of him, and I'm going to say, Mashiach, Mr. Mashiach, shoot me out in the fucking outer space like a goddamn fucking monkey to Israel. I want to go, baby. Redeem me, motherfucker. But guess what? Half of these fucking cocksuckers out here don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck about the Messiah.
All right. Well, you want to go back in time. You want to go into a time machine. You want to travel back in time. Take me back 3,400 years ago, and they
died. And it says in the Talmud that fucking 90% of the Jewish people died in the plague of darkness. God gave them a bracha. It says in the Talmud that God gave them a bracha. A bracha. God gave them a bracha that they died without knowing that they were evil, that they died evil, and they were sinners, and they were fucking perished in the fucking plague of darkness.
They're all committing blasphemy.
It was two-thirds, not 90%, two-thirds.
I don't care.
But listen up, okay? Like I told you before, and I'm repeating it over and over again.
God did them a favor, Sammy. God did them a favor that they didn't die in vain. They didn't die in vain.
I heard you. Will you listen up? I told you, as I told over and over again, a million times over, it's the repeat of the message. This time around, there won't be a Holocaust. There won't be a death in the...
Two-thirds of the Jewish people are going to fucking die in the fucking plague of darkness of America.
No. This is the message of my rabbi. It's been making its rounds for 30 years. He basically said the way the Jews of America or the diaspora or wherever they are outside of Israel, the way they end up paying their dues is that they lose their money, they lose their homes, they lose their possessions, and this will be their penance. All right? They will be brought here, mostly all of them alive. All right? This is not going to be a repeat of the Holocaust, and it's not going to be a repeat of the plague of darkness of Egypt. Okay? That is over and done with. This time around, it's redemption and mercy, but they lose their possessions because they were stubborn. They lose their homes, they lose their cars, they lose the value of their money, but they end up living, most of them, and they're brought back here alive in a state of fear, in a state of panic, in a state of shock. But God keeps them alive despite their stubborn, stiff-necked refusals, their behavior that imitates and mimics the
only thing that keeps them alive is the Rahmana of Hashem. The only thing that keeps them alive is the Rahmana of Hashem, the mercy of God. The only thing that keeps them going is that God is merciful and that God doesn't want to fucking kill the Jewish people.
I'm not here to constantly berate them, castigate them, because this is
the Jewish people, the B'nai Yisrael deserve hellfire. They deserve everything they fucking deserve. They deserve everything they get, and the only reason why they're alive, the only reason why Dave Portnoy, the only reason why cocksuckers like David Portnoy run his goddamn trafe mouse is because God is fucking loving. And that's the only reason why he's able to live today.
I'm sorry, that sounds too demented. It sounds like you don't have it.
That's a goddamn fact, Jack.
You don't have Rahmanas. You don't have Rahmanas.
I can tell Rahmanas. Yeah, damn right. If it was up to me, that's right. If it was up to me, Dave Portnoy would get a fucking kick in the fucking tuchus and kick his fucking ass down the fucking Boston street. That's what he would get.
But you're talking out of personal pain. This is not like a godly way of speaking.
That's right. It is personal fucking pain.
It's also the bourbon speaking. This is not very un-Jewy. This is very ungodly.
Very ungodly.
All right? You're un-Jewing. You're ungodly. You're talking like a goy. You're talking like an Irishman. You're more like a leprechaun now. You're less of a Jew.
Sam.
I'm telling you, God is merciful, and the message is, I'm repeating my rabbi's message. This is not my will. This is Rabbi Nir Ben Artzi, the Mashiach, the true Messiah. He said, this is God's message. This is God's transmission to the Jews of the diaspora of America. You will be brought back to Israel. It is God's will. He's not going to let you be murdered by the Gentiles, by the bushel. This is not a repeat of the Holocaust. And this is not the dying in the plague of death, the plague of darkness of Egypt. Okay, he will redeem you, but you will pay through the nose. You will relinquish all of your material gains in America. This is your correction. Okay, now you can be pissy, both you and Vaughn, or Vaughn and John. You don't like the fact that the Jews are going to be redeemed and they're going to live a long life.
No, just the opposite. No, just the opposite. I want them to be redeemed. I want their Messiah to give them a protected place over in the Middle East. I want that. But here's the problem, Sammy. The problem is that these people are committing blasphemy. They refuse to read the Torah. They refuse to read the Talmud.
I am not their Lord and Savior. I am a messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. I am not here to make judgment on them, because I've done it. You could do that all day and night, and you are not God, and you are not the fucking judge either, Vaughn. All right?
No, but I can read. Holy fuck, I can read.
As much as the Torah. Bitch and moan as much as you like. This is how it's going to go down, and it's not because Sammy is laying down the law. I'm just the messenger. I'm repeating the message of the Messiah that comes straight from the mouth of God through the Messiah. The Jews will be brought back alive, but for the most part, the majority of them, but they will have to pay a price. They will surrender their material wealth.
I got a question, Sammy. I got a question for you, Sammy.
The value of their money, all of it is within sight.
I got a question for
Sammy. They are going to be redeemed. They have to pay a price.
I got a question for you, Sammy.
Go ahead. Ask me.
When the redemption happened in Mitzrayim, when the redemption happened, when God told Moshe to redeem the Jewish people and to schlep them out of Mitzrayim, how many made it out alive and how many died?
2/3 made it, didn't make it. 1/3 made it out alive.
And what makes you think that's going to be any different now in America?
Because my rabbi is the Messiah and his message is God's word. And this is a promise from him for 30 or 40 plus years. I'm sorry, John, you're wrong. This is not going to be a repeat of Egypt. He said it 1,000,000 times over. I take his word.
What do we say in the Haggadah?
As a matter of fact, your judgments of the Jews of America are your own judgments of them.
Sammy, Achi, my brother, Achi.
against the message of God, and you're thinking like a Chabadnik, a dumbass Chabadnik in America. All right, listen, no. Listen good. Listen to me. I'm telling you, this is the word of God. This is the message that's been transmitted by my rabbi. You go against his word. You go against his message. You're being wicked. You're wicked. You're wicked, John. If you call yourself a Jew and you go against the will of the one God, against his messenger, the Messiah. Your judgment of America's Jews is your judgment of them. You know what is kapara? Kapara is repentance, is penance. The price they will pay, as much as you don't like me believing this, is
Sammy wants me to repent. Listen, Sammy wants me to repent. I'm a sinner. I'm going to do talking. I'm a sinner. I lied. I cheated. I stole. I hurt my fellow Jew. I'll do it. I'll beat my chest. You want me to do it, Sammy?
Good for you, man. I mean, you're reliving your Jewish past, your Jewish moment. But
I'm with you, Sammy. I repent. I've lied. I cheated. I stole. I sinned against God. I sinned against my fellow man. I've done wrong.
And then God doesn't do shit.
You went against God's will and God's word. Okay, you think you people are smarter than God. I'm telling you, because I didn't make this up. I did not make this up.
Sammy, I agree with you.
I've been this message for years.
Sammy, I agree with you.
Listen, you got me wrong. You got me wrong.
I agree with you, Sammy. I agree with you.
I know you're a righteous Jew, Sammy. You're righteous. Sammy, you're gonna be one. You're gonna be amongst the redeemed. You're gonna be amongst. You're gonna be there. I'm with you.
Well, I'm just telling you, the problem you have with my message is that you think because the Jews of America have let themselves go to such a degree that they're not worthy of being redeemed. I'm telling you, they are worthy. Listen to me, don't interrupt me. I'm telling you that
For Sammy, I'm gonna do Vidnu and Takun. Okay, I've transgressed. I have robbed. I have slandered. I have acted against God wickedly. I have willfully sinned. I'm beseeching God for forgiveness. But what I'm telling you, Sammy, that you got scumbags like Dave Panoy who are not doing takun, who's not eating sex.
I am not their judge. I'm not their Lord and Savior. I'm not Jesus. I'm not Jesus. I'm not gonna. Listen. You know what the
according to Jewish law, Dave Panoy is in heaven. He's excommunicated.
I don't care. Listen. Just like Cain and Abel, in this regard, in the past, all Jews. Listen to me. I'm not my brother's keeper. You know what? Guess what happens? Well, for the longest time, all the things. Well, you fucking listen for a minute. Let me get my message across. Let me get my message across. This is what my rabbi also said. Okay, he said for the long. Good for you. Repent, you leprechaun, you Lucky Charms leprechaun. Okay, listen. All right, for the longest time, the Jews had to pay for one another's sins. We were all interlinked. Okay, so righteousness had to pay for the sins of the wicked. All right, now it's been a while now that scenario is no longer playing out. Everybody will pay individually, and there's no. The sins of the fathers or the sins of your fellow Jew is upon your head. That condition has ended, and it has ended a while ago. All right, you need to, because you are not up to date, because you are living in your past with your Chabad schooling and your lessons that you remember, you are not up to date. I'm transmitting you the message. I'm giving you my rabbi's message. You can take it, you can leave it. Your own personal opinions mean fucking squat when it comes to the Messiah and when it comes to the redemption.
I'm going to read the prayer. I have given evil counsel. I have lied. I have scoffed.
I have rebelled against God. I have provoked God. I have been disobedient to God. I have committed iniquity. I have transgressed God's laws. I have oppressed others. I have been disobedient. I'm asking for forgiveness.
You
Sammy.
cast judgment on your fellow. Wait. Say this. I cast judgment on my fellow Jews before I even look at myself and consider my own sins. I cast judgment on others.
And David Panoy makes himself goes on camera promoting eating treif and tells other Jews to eat treif. He makes himself an enemy of God. I don't do it. He does it.
Hey, will you go on your soapbox about Jeffrey Epstein also? Will you go on your soapbox about Ron Jeremy? Will you go on your soapbox about what's his name? That's fucking Hollywood, that producer.
And Weinstein, don't forget Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein, go on your soapbox on him. Go on your soapbox on Larry David. Go on your soapbox about Karl Marx. Go on your soapbox about whoever.
Hold on. Larry David is not as bad as Karl Marx. I'll give you Larry David. He's not.
Go on your soapbox on Bernie Sanders. Go on your soapbox about any of these wicked fucks. I could care fucking less. You're not seeing the bigger picture.
Okay, hold on. Time out, Sammy. Okay. So Sammy, what's the bigger picture? Tell me.
The bigger picture is that there are 1,000,001 signs that were upon Messianic revelation and the complete redemption of the Jewish people. It doesn't matter the ones that stick out like sore thumbs that are wicked that you want to fucking scrutinize and focus on to make your arguments, to bitch and moan and get on your soapbox about the Jews not being worthy of redemption. You are not the judge of the Jewish people. You are not God, and you are not the judge. You don't know who's righteous and who's wicked. You do not know.
Sammy, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He is the just judge. He is the Redeemer. He is the one.
Shut up already about the fucking Jews, will ya? It doesn't mean you know any better.
God told Hashem told Moses.
You like a fucking hooah.
Sammy, God told Moses that he was going to exterminate the Jewish people and start over with him because they were wicked.
So what? The story ended the way it ended. It ended good. It ended well. And this time it ends better than well. I'm telling you, listen up, John.
Listen, Sammy, if you didn't have a man like Moses, let me rephrase that. If we didn't have a man like Moses leading us, we would all be condemned today.
All right, good. Well, you know what? Give me a second. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychiatrist. Okay, good. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a therapist. And I'm not going to do a psychoanalysis of you. But because of your upbringing and your, schooling with the Chabad people, you have this warped perception of Judaism, okay? And I'm telling you, they have a warped perception.
It's the opposite of what I'm saying. Chabad thinks every Jew is going to be redeemed no matter how wicked they are. Chabad doesn't give a fuck.
All right. They're warped, and they made you warped. You're not exactly. I mean, you have the good fortune of having run into me to transmit the message over to you. Okay.
And that's why, Sammy, I do tikkun. I've sinned.
You know what you can do, tikkun? You're Lashon Hara. Fucking Ivanka is pissed off at you. You're talking Lashon Hara out your ass every minute of the day. You fucking Irish Mick. Will you fucking quit it already?
All right, you got me there, Sammy. I don't know. You got me there.
I'm telling you how it's going to go down. For all the wicked ones you have there, for all the willfully blind Jews you have there, living as Americans, living as like Goyim, dumb fucking... You know what? Eggplants. The word is like you're walking around like chatzilim. The word is chatzilim, like dumb vegetable. Chatzilim, you're like dumb vegetable. Fucking disconnected. Goyim Mishigash, and the Jews there have indulged in the Goyim Mishigash that they're blind, okay? God is not going to bury them. He's not going to Holocaust them. He's not going to commit them to an anonymous death in another plague of darkness. This is my rabbi's message. They will pay because they were willfully ignorant. They willfully ignored all of the signs. They will lose all of their earthly possessions.
Scammy, shut up, Scammy.
That is, will you keep this guy out? I don't want to fucking hear trolls. Fucking kick him out.
I got rid of him.
I don't want to fucking hear you fucking troll bastards. You fucking dumb vegetables. You fucking half-wits. You fucking...
Hold on, Sammy. Sammy says the Jewish people will leave the United States. Can we get that in writing, Rabbi?
You got that from my... Yeah, you got that in writing from my rabbi. You got it in 1,000,001 recorded lectures, okay? You got it in writing.
Correct. It's written in the Torah. It's written in prophecy 3,000 years ago, 1313 BC, when Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, our teacher, received the Torah from Mount Sinai, from Moshe, from Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's in writing. It's a done deal. It's you can't negotiate.
Yeah.
There's no negotiation at this point.
At the end of the road.
One thing that me and Sammy can agree on. There's no negotiation.
Yeah, that's right.
The point of negotiation is over.
Yeah.
It's over.
Well, that's the magic number. That's the magic number. You know what? There's a magic number here. Well, you listen to me. The magic number is 77. 77. It's the anniversary of Israel. It's 77. It's a godly number, and it's from the establishment of the state of Israel. 77 years. This is the cutoff point. This is the year. This is the moment. It's in your face. It's the end of the road. The last station. One way or another, Blondie. Fucking Debbie. One way or another. No Jew is going to remain in the diaspora amongst the fucking Goyim.
Sammy. Let me interject, Sammy. Okay, let me interject. All right. Now, do you believe, it is your belief, or is it your belief, excuse me, is it your belief that the majority of the Jews, now listen to me carefully, is it your belief that the majority of the Jews living in America right fucking now know what the Torah says, know what the Talmud says, know what the other writing, huh?
No, they don't. No.
Okay, then. Well, see, that's where you fail. Because if they don't know Torah and they don't know the Talmud,
who are you to set God's terms? Who are you to set God's terms? Are you a Jew? Are you an expert in God's will?
Sammy, this is where you're wrong. God tells us in the Torah what is a sin, what is an avera, what is a chet, what is a sin.
Who the fuck are you? I mean, who the fuck are you? I'm telling you that I'm transmitting God's message by way of my rabbi,
and we don't dispute that. And we don't dispute it.
You're going to set terms for the Jews of America?
We're not disputing what you're saying, Sammy.
Who the fuck are you? Prosecutors of the Jewish people.
We're not disputing what you're saying.
You're not advocates, you're not prosecutors, you're not defenders, you're two schmucks, you're two schmoes. Listen good. Who the fuck are you to judge the Jew?
We are not disputing what
you're saying.
We are not disputing what you're saying.
I'm telling you, the Messiah, when he arrives, or before he arrives, he transmits a new kind of message from the Torah. It comes straight out of the Torah, but it is not even reworded. It's just told in the way that's compatible or what God wants. The message my rabbi has given the world is this. The message is this. It's not what you think. It's not what you go off of from Talmud or Torah. The Jews of the world, whether they're knowledgeable or not, the majority of them will be brought back here Their penance will be they will lose their money, they will lose their possessions, they will lose their pride, they will be brought here, laid low, and that will be their punishment for not studying, for being willfully ignorant, for committing all those sins, whatever, for not being good Jews, whatever, okay? But the majority of them will be brought back. This is redemption and mercy. This does not compute with you two schmucks. And I don't fucking care if it doesn't compute with you. This is your judgment.
That's fine. That's fine.
Only
That's
God.
okay.
Ultimately speaking, I agree with you, Sammy. Only God has Rahmana.
That's right.
Only God has Rahmana.
Only the gods and goddesses
And
know.
guess what? That's his mercy. And guess what? This is this is the path of mercy.
Is the Rahmana.
Yeah, this is the path of mercy. Instead of letting them be murdered again by the Gentiles in another Holocaust, he's going to bring them back to Israel alive.
That's where you're wrong, Sammy. The only merciful thing that Hashem could do is let these scumbags get fucking ran over by the Goyim.
No, now you're talking like a drunk Irishman. You're a dumb drunk Irishman. You're a fucking schmo. You're a fucking schmo.
If they stood
because you have resentment for them, you're a schmuck. You're a schmuck. You think that condemning millions of people, including children, to another Holocaust is God's mercy to them? What the fuck is wrong with you, you drunk leprechaun? You dumb drunk leprechaun.
If they stood in front of Hashem on Judgment Day, God would condemn
This
them.
is you talking. You're not God and you're not a judge. Who the fuck are you again? You grew up with them. You say you love them, and then you say God's mercy is to have them be genocided again in another Holocaust. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Because what God would do to them is 100,000 times worse.
Worse.
What a fucking goy would
Yeah,
do
what
to
God would do to him be 1,000 times worse than what.
And you're all touchy-feely now. Let me tell you something. The dynamics of how it works with the diaspora and the exile, it's over, okay? The final redemption is in mercy. God is not going to kill all the Jews. He's not going to put them through another Holocaust.
He is.
And he's not going to put them through a place of darkness. The majority, the way they will pay, and again, it's like a mantra because you're too dumb and you're too biased and you're too Gentile to figure this out for yourselves. I gave you this message for approximately 10 years, 8 to 10 years. This will not go down the way you think because you think it's your preference to see the Jews die instead of having them be redeemed. They will be redeemed. They will lose their possessions. They will lose their valuables. They will lose their pride. And this will be their penance for their willful ignorance. And you people are going to get fucked in America. You're going to live total misery. Scammy has spoken. The scammy has spoken.
Okay, so that was a little bit of what was going down over on Easy Street there with Sammy and the boys last week. Yikes! All right, well let's we got some more Von Helton coming up. Let's get to the bottom of this Cryraxx getting punched, as we saw at the beginning. If you missed it, you want to go back. Maybe we'll play it again. But here's the video of Cryraxx. I apparently talking. I haven't watched this, so talking about the incident. And then we get back into some Von Helton stuff.
We'll be right back after these messages.
Folks.
What's up? What's up, everyone? I know right now I sound sick, and that's probably because I am a little bit sick. But also, I've now been able to stop crying on and off all day. Not because out of sadness, but out of gratefulness. Today marks a very huge day. This day has been a long time coming. The war I've been facing over the last 8.5 years is finally over. I finally won my fight against William. I know that I might not win against all the trolls, and that's fine.
That's a fucking lie, you dumb hooker.
Welcome back to another Cryraxx deep dive episode here on the Swamp Dweller live channel. I go away for a day to focus on a different lolcow, and Chance comes out here getting beat up in his own front yard, crying about beating William Gloryhole. Tears of joy, by the way, but we all know that's a load of horse poopy, and we're gonna get right into it.
I finally got the chance to expose one of the most evil people within the troll community that I've had to face personally for the last 8.5 years. This victory means a lot to me. It means I can finally rest easy. It means I can focus on getting back to myself full time. I can focus on my mental health. I can focus on my career in music. It means I can start to do stuff again here really soon. And I can't even, for those of you that showed up to show support for me, I know not all of you guys were there for showing support for me, and that's fine. But for those of you that did show up to show support for me, I want to say thank you.
For those who do not know, since there's been so much Cryraxx stuff going on recently, I don't blame you. You look away for a minute and he's getting punched on his front porch. He went on a live stream, a panel if you will, with this Katie character, who a lot of people say suspiciously sounds like that Miss Kelly character, but I'll digress for now on that. William Gloryhole, CIA Hole, and a lot of other people would come out of the woodwork to all talk and rant to Cryraxx here. And of course Cryraxx has given his same spiel, given the same story we've heard 500 times in the past couple of episodes. Cryraxx thinks he was winning, but the funniest part is if you look at the screen and you see the comments of William Gloryhole popping up, he has a wrench next to his name, which means he was a moderator in that YouTube chat. So, I don't know if Chance actually was winning anything, or if this was all by design. Well, gee, Cryraxx.
And having my two brothers, Old 45 and CIA right there. And when I say these men, I'm not just referring to William, I'm also referring to N-word boy as well. It feels good to finally be able to have this war be over after 8.5 years. So the Old 45 and CIA, I want to say thank you guys. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for stepping up and helping out like you guys did. It really means a lot to me. And I know that I'm always going to have trolls that are going to laugh or whatever, and that's fine. That's okay. Today is the biggest win.
So that was a fucking lie.
Of this entire war for me. That has ruined my life for many years, as well as many others' lives. And William, I know you're probably watching this, and that's fine. But my days of suffering are over.
Are you sure about that?
The only one who will suffer now is you. I can finally walk away at peace. I can finally walk away from this community peacefully, knowing that I won. Knowing that I fought this battle.
It's truly ironic and pretty funny knowing what's going to happen to Cryraxx in the next couple of hours after he uploads this video claiming victory over this whole war. Even though Cryraxx has caught L after L after L in this entire series. 80 episodes in and I ain't seen a single W go this guy's way. But, you know, he won this war. He escaped this battle peacefully somehow. Unscathed, if you will. Well, not quite. I guess we'll see that later though.
Knowing that when I spoke up, I wasn't just speaking out for myself. I was speaking out for everyone who has been victimized. It wasn't just about me. It wasn't just about my little brother. Everybody who you casted aside. Because like I said the other day, when I was on Katie's panel, whenever I do my cover shows or I do my music or I'm doing anything that I enjoy on a live stream, hanging out, whatever, I'm not just doing these live streams for myself. I'm not just representing me. I'm not just representing my family or my friends. I'm representing people that society casts aside. The same people that get cast aside for being different every day.
Oh, Chancey, I can confidently say on behalf of all of the outcasts that are thrown out by society and are trolled on, they really don't want you to be their spokesperson, and they're going to respectfully decline that. Or disrespectfully, to be honest. Of course, Cryraxx has to try to put a deeper meaning to something to make himself feel better and to make everybody stop bothering him, but we all know he doesn't stand for anything but his greedy own goblin ways. Anytime Chance mentions the people that he's standing up for, they usually come out against him and say, please don't. You'd think Cryraxx would learn by now, but we all know that his memory is probably just as poor as his actual IQ.
And I'm proud to represent those people. I'm proud to represent the underground. Because a lot of the times, all too often, people are scared to speak out. And the fact that I had that opportunity these last 2 days to really show what's been going on means a lot to me. The fact that I finally got to speak out against my perpetrator for all these years, it means everything to me. And I know what a lot of people are going to say, well, you didn't Like, oh, but you didn't let him speak his speech. No, I didn't let him speak his speech because everything that comes out of his mouth was a fucking lie.
Relax, Chance, relax. We get it. You think you finally did something, but I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but to say you finally got to confront your perpetrator, finally got to tell your story. Cryraxx, that's what you do in every single video you upload on this platform, is telling your story, confronting your perpetrators, etc. You didn't let William Glory Hole speak because you know he would have turned it right back on you and exposed all the things you're saying as lies. Again, more self-projection from the goblin. Nothing ever changes here.
And like I said, I know that there's gonna be a lot of trolls that are gonna be like, oh, but you didn't let him do this. Good, I'm glad I didn't let him. Because if you ask me, a monster like that doesn't deserve to get to defend himself. Especially when there's so much evidence stacking up against him. The evidence was clear as day. It was all right there. But to William, to all 45, thank you guys. And thank you to all my friends and all my supporters that showed up in that chat today that were there to show support for not only me, because when you guys showed up to support me, you guys didn't show up to just support me. You guys showed up to support my brothers. Y'all showed up to support CIA, all 45, and more importantly, yourselves.
I know. The comments are gonna say, Swampy D, what are you doing? Why are you even addressing this part? Well, because I am still, somehow, 80 episodes into the series, absolutely mind blown that Cryraxx actually believes that William was the monster, he was the victim, etc. It's just so mind-numbingly stupid and ass backwards and clearly not the truth that I don't know who Cryraxx thinks he's even talking to. Nobody showed up to show him love. Maybe one or two buddy trolls or something. But even then, CIA Hole has definitely been outed as a buddy troll 100 times at this point, but somehow, some way, Cryraxx just lets him back in every single time. But of course, you know, Cryraxx didn't just do this for himself and his little brother. He did this for all of us.
To William, there is one thing that I do want to say thank you for. Not that you deserve any thanks, but there is one thing that I would like to say thank you for. Thank you for the victory that you handed me. Yes, you handed me that victory. You handed me that win. Whether you want to admit it or not, you handed it to me, like it or not. And I know that CIA, who is in the chat right now, I know that he will agree with me as well. You handed me that victory. By you denying all the evidence that was stacked against you, instead of being a man and admitting to it, you decided to go against it, which ultimately worked in my favor.
What's that, brother?
And because of that, I was able to take the win today. As of midnight tonight, my new life begins.
Genuinely great to see him finally give William Glory Hole some thanks, but what he should be thanking him for is keeping him relevant and keeping all these people looking at him. That's the only reason Cryraxx has anything at all, literally, is because of William Glory Hole, M-Word Boy, and R.I.P. Music Business Marty. Hey, you all heard it here first, folks. Chance Wilkins' brand new life starts at midnight, and we all know exactly where that new life led him to, and we're gonna get into that very, very soon. There's a couple more minutes to cover of this, so let's get to it.
The old door on the door on the old chapter of my life is being closed, and I can finally walk away from the troll community a free man. And it sounds weird saying that, but it's true. I can finally walk away a free man, away from all this, and live my life how I want to live it. Do things that I want to do, regardless of what, you know, people say. I don't care what the outside world has to say. I don't care what the troll community has to say about me. I really don't care about that. They can say whatever they want. I don't care. Because I don't pay attention to it. And I never will. But as of right now, from here going forward, I will be focusing on myself, my mental health, getting back to being the person that I used to be. And that's going to be a very long, hard task. But because I know I have the right people behind me, I know I can do it.
Now that that's over, let's jump on over to Cryraxx and his recent face-to-face encounter with Low T. As we know, Low T is a wannabe troll who is constantly begging for about $2.50 to get on the bus, but he did something somewhat kind of good here. He went over to Rax's house and confronted him about his chain. Where did it go, brother? First and foremost, Low T, why did you leave it on his porch? What'd you think was gonna happen? I think the funniest thing you'll see here in the first beginning clip here is that Cryraxx is literally using the dog as a shield. Absolutely diabolical work, Chance. Let's jump into it.
You went on a live stream claiming you gave my chain a gift to the police. I went to the police and it's not there. Then I see you message me and you threaten me.
I didn't do shit.
You didn't threaten me with the knife?
No, I didn't.
Punch me again. I swear to God, watch what happens.
You need to back off. You need to leave now.
Or what?
Or I'm gonna beat your.
Make me.
You won't regret
Don't
it.
make me drop you, Chance. Back up.
Do it.
Back up. I try to be your friend.
You didn't do shit. You lied.
The only one that stood up for you, all the trolls,
I've had
you're
those.
begging. Help me. Help me.
I will knock your ass out if you
Do it.
Leave.
Do it.
No.
Do it.
No,
Because you lost.
I lost. You're a bitch. So's your girl.
Chance?
Oh, yeah, this has got to be one of the better things we've gotten from the Cryraxx universe in the last couple of months. Cryraxx is talking all that ish, and honestly, by God, Cryraxx in HD is freaking terrifying, dude. Everybody's always like, are these pictures Photoshop? Nah, they're just screenshots from his videos, I promise you. I don't know how to use Photoshop. I can hardly make thumbnails for this channel. Give me a break. Anyways, absolutely diabolical that Perky Ed's looking more pregnant than ever. Any moment now he's gonna pop. Got Sally yelling for Chance every 2 seconds, but don't worry. The moment we're all waiting for is about to come to fruition.
So back up.
Just go, man.
Fucking pedo! You're a pedo! You're a pedo!
And you're a dick.
And you put your hands on me so you got punched.
I didn't do
That's one punch.
Oh, you missed.
Come here.
You missed.
Come here. Come here.
You missed.
You want to do it again?
You missed.
You want to do it again?
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Alex! The fuck? Alex, come on. Wow.
Finally got trashed the right way. For being
Dude's
a
off the
pedo.
hook. Alex!
I genuinely couldn't stop laughing at that dumb meme. I was like, I have a moment, and I have it here, and I'm gonna take that moment. This picture will live on in videos for many, many months to come. Cryraxx always teaching people a lesson out there, you know? He should have brought out his tactical defense washer. I don't know why he didn't have it on with him. His hands weren't wrapped. The goblin wasn't ready. It's unfair. So next, we're gonna check out this quick clip I found over on William Gloryhole's channel. You can find the link down below, but I'm sure you're already subscribed. But if you're not, go help that man and subscribe to that channel. Make sure you turn those notifications on because he puts a lot of good stuff over there.
What's up, guys? So I heard Chance claim the other day that he gave the chain to the police. I'm at the Akron police station, and they told me that there's no chain here. So it looks like Chance did accept my gift. And now he is, lying about it. So he does have my chain. He's not wearing it. He's acting like it doesn't exist and that it's away and the cops have it. They don't have it. You have it. Now you owe it back to me. Plus 1,000.
So it seems here that Low T left his chain on Chance Wilkins' porch for whatever reason as some sort of peace bargaining tool, I don't know. Chance said, nah, I don't want none of that, and stole it with his goblin little fingers. Took it up to his little hidey spot and put it away, never to be seen again. He told Low T here that, nah, I sent it to the Akron Police Department, that's where it'll be. Low T goes there, and guess what? No chain. Wouldn't you have that? You know who really likes to collect treasures? Goblins do. So he went back to the Goblin Sanctuary of 339 and he confronted him about it. And that's where we got that beautiful clip from a moment ago.
Right. So my question to you, Chance, is do you think that a female can get pregnant by swallowing semen?
Honestly, stranger shits happen.
Okay.
Cryraxx a criminal. He locked up some criminals.
Alright, so that was user, I believe, Swampy D. Sorry, I grabbed it so fast trying to get the show ready. I didn't grab any links or anything, but that's Swampy D. Some clips from William Gloryhole. I seen Cheryl shared the link to that. So, that's what's new in Cryraxx's world. Ay caramba. Folks.
We'll be right back after these messages.
And we're back. There are no messages, folks. So let's skedaddle on over to the YouTube side again. And like I said, just before we get back into the Von Helton train, where do I got it? Let's go over to Shani's channel. Graveyard Flowers has been uploading some of this stuff as well. Excuse me, pardon me. So I haven't been keeping up. They've been pretty much just going at Foodie Beauty because she's concerned with some Medicaid cuts, and then this one's just called Sigh. So I don't know. I have no idea, folks, what's going on here, but let's check it out. Let's see what's going on, folks.
So, is the class in session? I hope so. That the class is in session. Now, I haven't been feeling good the past few days. I've been going through a lot of headaches, a lot of migraines, a lot of nausea, just simply not feeling too damn great. I've been dealing with a very, how can I say this? A husband who is very angry with people who are continuing to take advantage of him and make fun of everything he's done in his life. So he's not great mentally. I am dealing with an audience who has to tell me every nick and cranny of the goings-on of people I could care less about, and constantly coming to us in this panic. Did you see what they said? Did you see what they said? Did you say what they said? Do you understand that you're dealing with people who have emotional issues and mood disorders? Did you not think 1 minute, after countless times of saying this, is we don't care what the other side says? Countless fucking times. And what do you get again? More people. Did you hear what they said? Did you hear what they said? Do you know they're doing this? Do you hear what they say? Do you know what they're doing? No. Was I not clear enough when I said I don't give a shit? Was I clear enough when I said, please don't come to me with other people's bullshit? Does it need to be clarified? Do I need to start thinking maybe you're not friendly with me and all you're doing is trying to start bullshit on the internet? beefs on the internet? Because I'm beginning to think that way. I really am. Because when you say no so many times, and the person clearly is doing the thing you say no to several times, and it's just not one person, it's a string of people. And they continue to do the things you say no to, well, now we got a boundary problem. Now we got a problem with, oh, did you not listen to my boundaries? Do you not understand my boundaries? Now we got a problem there. Because in all honesty, I am really sick of people who's supposed to be, I hate to say this because I don't believe in this. I don't believe in sides. I just think it's stupid people trying to fuck with you. But when you come to my side and start talking to me about what the other side is doing, I hate to put it in that terminology, but there's no other way how I think I could put it. Okay? I don't play sides with people. I don't constantly go and look what the other side is doing because I really don't give a shit. I don't care what they do. Is what they're going to do debauch and immoral and unethical? Yeah. Absolutely. 100%. That's why I don't fuck with them. That's why I don't talk to them. That's why I don't engage with them. That's why I don't give a shit what they do. Because it doesn't shock me what they do. Because they're demonic. They're evil. They only do what their father, the devil, tells them to do. So, if you really, really cared about us, one, you'd stop immediately telling us what the other side does, because we know what the other side does. Debauch, fucked up, immoral, unethical shit. I don't need to be told that anymore. I've made that decision years ago about what they do. So, to come to me to tattletale on them, how should I take you? How should I look at you? If the shoe was on the other foot, how would you take it? What would you think? Just think about it, folks. Just think about it, folks. Because me, I'll clarify it even more that it's been clarified over the years. I don't give a fuck what the other side is doing. I get on the banhammer real quick with people when they keep coming to me over telling me what the other side is doing. I figure you're one of their agents and trying to start shit with people on the internet so you can have some kind of performance. I don't play the drama game.
Folks, so that's what Shanny's been up to. Just letting y'all know she doesn't play the drama game. Okay, well let's let's take a look over. Let's go to Von Heltonland and see what's cooking over on Odyssey. I see he puts out a morning coffee. I was right, 121. Just 18 hours ago. So why don't we start with that? We'll get into this, folks. Let's do it. We'll even put it on full screen. Alright, there, let's scan up ahead a bit here. Just taking a look. Okay, here we go.
And but first, let's get into the morning coffee aspect. And we're going to jump in this with both feet and get her started here. Let me find the thing here. Alrighty, federal judge. You think you know where I'm going, but I'm actually going somewhere good this time. It says breaking: federal judge rules that the Trump administration can use Alien Enemies Act to deport illegal immigrant gang members, which is true. I guess somebody in the federal court system finally woke up and realized, hey, that's an actual thing that he can use. I don't know why it would be so hard to figure out, but apparently, pardon me, it was to some, apparently, in the federal system. But yeah, it's a real thing, and the president can really use it. There it is. American News, May 13th, 2025. Breaking: federal judge rules Trump administration can use the Alien Enemies Act to deport illegal immigrant gang members. The court now leaves it to the political branches of the government and ultimately to the people who elect those individuals to decide whether the laws and those executing them continue to reflect their will, she concluded. Wow, a justice that actually knows where her place is and how to walk in her lane. Okay, this is great. We're making progress here. Okay, there's this wonderful little thing called separation of powers. Now, most of you are not taught this in school because for some unknown reason, we don't teach history to our kids anymore and haven't for years. So many of you out there do not know what separation of powers is. Many of you do not know what the Constitution is. Many of you don't know what the Bill of Rights is even. But I'm going to expound upon that just briefly and tell you that we have three branches of government. We have the executive, we have the judicial, and we have the legislative. We have three branches of government. Those three branches of government each has an assignment to do, and they're not supposed to interchange with one another. The Supreme Court, when they came up with Roe v. Wade, they crossed the streams. And what did Egon say in Ghostbusters? Do not cross the streams. Okay, so when you have a judicial system that is making law instead of interpreting law or defending that law, you have a problem. You run into a constitutional crisis. Okay, judges, judicial system, justices, they are not to create law. That is Congress's job. Congress is the one that creates the laws. The justices and the judges are the ones that enforce those laws. Okay, and what these judges were doing, they were literally creating law, giving them the ability to do things that they normally would not do under the separation of powers. So we now have a federal judge that actually knows what I'm talking about. And stated so publicly. So this is great that we're making progress here. I shouldn't have to get on the internet and say these things. But like I said, our youth today are not being taught what the Constitution says. They're not being taught civics at all. They're not being taught American history. They said, Vaughn, what caused all this to happen? What caused all this hullabaloo to happen? Well, years ago, we had this group called the American Historical Society. Okay. And the American Historical Society, made up of skull and bones members out of Yale University, you know, that university that has a mausoleum as its chief cornerstone. Yeah, that. And so, you know, they decided amongst themselves, hey, we will create new history for the United States that bends to our will, not necessarily the facts. For example, those evil Americans gave the Native American Indians smallpox in blankets. And buddy, that was spread on the internet like wildfire. Oh my God, them horrible Americans, them evil Americans doing that to them Native American Indians. Oh, wait, when you got off your ass and went to a real physical library and went into the back where the microfiche is, and you start thumbing your fingers through the microfiche, you find, oh, it wasn't the Americans after all. It was the British that did that. And not only that, but some of Washington's own men up at the Canadian border actually got the smallpox from the blankets as well. So it was a lie spread all over the internet. But see, if you don't get off your ass and go to a physical library, you'll never know the truth, because the American Historical Society and other factions out there that hate the United States were spreading that all over the damned internet. I literally had to make a video to put a stop to it because it was being spread all over. But, oh, yeah, them evil Americans killing the Native American Indians. That wasn't true. It was a flat out fucking lie. So you got to be careful, you like Ben Franklin, but Ben Franklin was a Mason, number one. And number two, he was a member of the Hellfire Club, which was a secret cult that was doing all kinds of creepy, evil shit. Well, you get off your ass and you go to a physical library and you go back to the microfiche and you start digging through the microfiche on Ben Franklin. No, I can't find it. Sorry, never happened. Never happened. Oh, but fine, we've got all this documentation. Yeah, and every bit of that documentation is fake as hell. You cannot find anything negative about Ben Franklin if you go to an actual physical library. All the fake shit, all this hate about the founding fathers is where it's all on the internet. It's all fake as hell. That, for example, the founders never had slaves. That's a lie. It's all been perpetrated. In fact, Thomas Jefferson was quoted verbatim as saying that slavery was an abomination, and that and so you look up that word abomination. What does it mean? Well, it's one of the it's a very strong word, and for people back in the day who were very honorable and very knowledgeable. What that meant is that you would not engage in said activity. Okay. And it's funny because you got all these people running around on the internet. Oh man, not only did Jefferson have slaves, he married a slave and had sex with her and had kids with her. This coming from a man who said that slavery was an abomination. In other words, one of the most violent, hateful things that you could ever do. When people say stuff like that, when they say something is an abomination, what does that mean? That means they won't engage in it. They won't have nothing to do with it. So, Vaughn, you're saying that all these people running around on the internet saying that the founders had slaves, they're all liars. Yeah. Yeah. Because if you get off your ass and go to a physical library and you go back in the back and look through the microfiche, you'll find they weren't slaves. They were indentured servants. Now, well, what's the difference between a slave and an indentured servant? The difference between a slave and an indentured servant is that a slave is a slave for life. They will never stop being a slave. In fact, Abraham Lincoln had to write an executive order to that effect called the Emancipation Proclamation. Remember? Okay. But until Abraham Lincoln did that, if you were a slave, you were a slave for life. Sorry, sucks to be you. Now, contrast that with an indentured servant. An indentured servant is somebody who owes a debt to society. Most likely the boat trip over here, which cost them a ton of money. And so they had to pay that back. So they did so by working it out. Okay. They would go to somebody and they would work it out. And then until they got it paid off, they were pretty much, they weren't a slave, but they had to stay there till they got paid off. And so there's a difference there, isn't there? Because
so he's trying to make the argument that the slaves were actually indentured servants, and the debt they were paying off was the boat ride over to be indentured servants for like generations. Yeah, it seems legit.
Slave is never set free. They're either passed down to a relative or they're sold at auction. So a slave is always a slave. It'll never stop being a slave until, like I said, Emancipation Proclamation. Aside from that, though, an indentured servant, by contrast, once they pay their debt to society, they're free. In fact, the irony of the whole slavery talk on the internet is that it's the free blacks that are the actual slave owners in the South. It was not white folk. The absolute most you can find even on the internet, the most you can find, if you do some actual digging, is that whites were only 14% at the absolute most. And even that is really high. It's usually hovering around 7%. Okay. They said, well, Vaughn, 7%, that ain't hardly any slave owners at all. Exactly. Exactly. But you have Jews, ironically, that were slave owners, big slave owners.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, if someone remembers this, because it was a while ago, but wasn't Vaughn's math, now to be fair to Vaughn, he's not really too good with the numbers, but I remember him misquoting that statistic, that it wasn't 14 or whatever the percentage is, and I mean, I'm not up on the slave trade in the the American South. We didn't learn a lot of that in Canadian school. A little bit, but not much. But my point is, I believe that statistic, 14% or whatever the hell it is, wasn't the percentage of white slave owners. It was the percentage of people that were rich enough to own slaves. And while it's true, some free black people did own slaves. I mean, it was black people who rounded up the slaves that sold them to the Dutch or whatever. But I'm pretty sure historically, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there was like a lot of rich black people during this period that owned like plantations and hundreds of slaves. They may have bought back family members or something like that, but I don't. Yeah. Anyways.
Most of them did, So wait a minute, Vaughn. You're saying Gone with the Wind was propaganda? Yes, it was. Gone with the Wind was propaganda because the people that owned the plantations were wealthy Jews with money, and then you got free blacks that had money too. Remember that painting of the black man standing next to George Washington wearing a top hat and tails, the three-piece suit with the top hat and everything. Well, what was, folks, that suit that black man was wearing was a month's wages. That suit he wore was a month's wages. Okay. Is that slave? Does that sound like slavery to you? No. Well, Vaughn, what happened to that painting? Good question, because I can't find it. I don't know if it's hopefully it's in the archives somewhere in Washington, D.C., but it may have been destroyed. It depends upon how desperate they are to paint the founders as evil, right? So I say all that to get to this. The federal judge finally is doing what's right and not trying to create law like the Supreme Court did with Roe v. Wade. Now, see, you say, well, Vaughn, Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court finally ruled on Roe v. Wade. No, they didn't. No, what they did was they kicked the can back to the states, which is exactly not what they were supposed to do. When you create a bad law, especially when you're not supposed to be creating law at all, you're supposed to abolish that law. Okay? Roe v. Wade was supposed to have been abolished by the Supreme Court, not kicked back to the states. It should have been abolished. Okay, so what did the Supreme Court do? The Supreme Court pandered to the left, didn't they? Yeah. I've got a Politico article where Kavanaugh and Chief Justice Roberts practically broke their necks going out to help Planned Parenthood. It was big write-up in Politico and everything. You know, these justices are not conservatives. They have never been conservatives. The last real conservative we had, justice that is, was Justice Scalia, and he was found dead with a pillow over his face. Of course, now they've changed that story too, haven't they? He's not in some dive motel in D.C. with a pillow over his face. Now he's at some fancy ranch out in Arizona with a pillow behind his head, which is where a pillow is supposed to be anyway. So why bring up the pillow at all? And so yeah, they changed the story, didn't they? Either that or CERN turned on the machine and everything got changed. One or the other. But yeah, the story's changed, hasn't it? Yeah, it's a different story. You know, but again, why bring up a pillow if the pillow is exactly where it's supposed to be, behind his head, leaned up against the headboard? Well, that's where pillows are supposed to be. So why were we bringing up the pillow again? Why? Yeah. Okay. But anyway, federal judge rules Trump administration can use the Alien Enemies Act because it can. You know. All right. Federal judge in Pennsylvania has sided with the Trump administration in the invocation of the Alien Enemies Act to swiftly deport illegal immigrants that are part of gangs that have been designated as terrorist organizations. Judge Stephanie L. Haynes for U.S. District Court, Western District of Pennsylvania wrote, as the court stressed at the beginning of this opinion, this case implicates significant issues. In resolving those issues, this court's unflagging obligation is to apply the law as written. When the court does so, it finds that the proclamation, I'll spit it out, now has at issue complies with the Alien Enemies Act, and the court further finds that respondents must provide greater notice to those subject to removal under the AEA than they are currently providing. Okay, so the judge has sided with the Trump administration that they can immediately deport. However, they must notify them. Well, with respect to the judge, that's idiotic. Because if you tell a convicted criminal, hey, we're coming to get you tomorrow at 5 o'clock, that criminal is not going to be there. They're going to be gone. Okay, so warning criminals that you're coming to arrest them is pretty stupid because they're not going to sit there. They're going to leave. All right, so I'm not sure what the court means by, telling these criminals, hey, we're coming to get you, because that's ridiculous. That's insane. Criminals are not going to sit there and say, oh, yeah, please take me to jail. No, it doesn't work that way. If you tell a criminal, hey, we're going to be by to arrest you at 5 o'clock tomorrow, 5 p.m. that is, they'll be gone. They'll be out of there by 3 o'clock, easy. They'll be gone. Okay, so warning these people that we're coming to get them is kind of ridiculous. But that's what this particular judge said, that we have to give notice. They agreed with the act. They agreed with what Trump is doing, but you have to give them notice, which is crazy. It's nuts. But anyway, that is the ruling as it stands for now. So finally, at least we do have a judge that knows, in fact, it says right here, having done its job, the court now leaves it to the political branches of the government and ultimately to the people who elect those individuals to decide whether the laws and those executing them continue to reflect their will, she concluded. Okay, so this judge actually knows her lane. She knows the lane of the judicial part of our government. Okay, judicial part of our government is not supposed to act like the executive or like the legislative. Likewise, the legislative part of the government is not supposed to act like the judicial or like the executive. Likewise, the executive is not supposed to act like the judicial or the legislative. Okay, each of the three parts of our government have their lane that they go in, and that's where they're supposed to be. And that's not a slight to anyone. That's just how it's supposed to be. Where we have three parts of government, and those three parts have specific delineated jobs that they do. And period, end of story. And so there we are. Therefore, for all the foregoing reasons, the court finds that the proclamation meets the definition of predatory incursion under the AEA, and the court finds that ASR has not shown a likelihood of success on the merits on the issue. So there you are, boys and girls. Okay, we have absolute concrete proof now that Trump was right, which he was. I mean, Trump was absolutely correct in his use of this act, because I suspect previous presidents have used it as well. So, and you would think people would be purveyors of history. It would say, okay, Millard Fillmore used it, Andrew Johnson used it, or Jackson, used it. John Quincy Adams may have used it. Other people, other presidents have used it. I'm using those as example, by the way. Don't sit there and Google it. But other presidents may have used it, and so therefore, it is absolutely constitutional and legal to do. There is court precedent to be able for Trump to do what he does, which is begs the question. Okay, well, wait a minute. If Trump had court precedent to do what he does, why are they making this an issue? Good question. And the answer is I haven't got a clue. Other than to just try to forestall anything he tries to do for whatever reason. So okay, but yeah, it's good to see that we do have some judges out there that know history and that know their lane and that know that the judicial is not the legislative and that the legislative is not the executive and vice versa. Sometimes things make my brain hurt. But anyway, so this is a good thing. This is, we're now moving in a positive direction here. So that's good. So that's good. Let's see here. Where we at? Some positive news on the front, on the Trump front. That it's fascinating. It is to me, and should be to you as well. Pretty nice, actually, and hopefully that reflects back on us a little bit. We get our little slice of the pie, which is what I'm hoping. That would be nice. Let's see here. The United States rakes in record 16 billion. Pardon me, in customs duties in April from Trump tariffs, which, by the way, are constitutional. Everybody's screaming about these tariffs. Well, I hate to tell you this, but the tariffs are constitutional. The Constitution clearly says that the president has the right to import tariffs and duties on import. Let me say that again. Lord, I'm tongue-tied this morning. The president of the United States has a duty to put tariffs on imports. It's actually in the Constitution. So, all right, receipts from U.S. tariffs hit a record level in April as revenue from President Donald Trump's trade war has started to kicking in. Custom duties totaled $16.3 billion for the month, some 86% above the $8.75 billion collected during March, and more than double the $7.1 billion a year ago, the Treasury Department reported Monday. That brought the year-to-date total for the duties up to $63.3 billion and more than 18% ahead of the same period in 2024. Trump instituted 10% across-the-board tariffs on U.S. imports starting April 2nd, which came on top of the selected duties he had leveled previously. While the U.S. is still running a massive budget deficit, the influx in tariffs helped shave some of the imbalance for April, a month in which the Treasury generally runs a surplus because of income tax filing deadline hitting mid-month. The surplus totaled $258.4 billion for the month, up 23% from the same period a year ago. That cut the fiscal year-to-date total to $1.5 trillion, which is still 13% higher than a year ago. Also, on an annual basis, receipts rose 10% in April from 2024, while outlays had declined 4%. Year-to-date, receipts are up 5%, while expenditures have risen 9%. High interest rates are still posing a budgetary burden.
Now, just keep in mind, and I don't want to make a whole tariff fucking rant about this shit, but Vaughn is under the impression, like when they're talking about this, these surpluses that the government brought in, that's not from the exporters. That's not from the other countries. Just keep in mind, folks, these numbers, this is what they've collected from the importers on the American side, which eventually is going to cascade into the prices that you pay for all these products. You know, all these products that are coming back in from China now to the empty ports, they still got a 30% tariff on them. So yeah, the government will report, look, we're bringing in all this money, but it's all the companies like Best Buy and stuff like that that's going to pay them when they're bringing in the TVs and stuff, which eventually, once they restock, you're going to see if these increases in prices, right?
Burden. Net interest on the $36.2 trillion national debt totaled $89 billion in April, higher than every other category except Social Security. For the fiscal year, net interest has run to $579 billion, also second highest for any outlay. All right, so what does all that mean, Vaughn? What that means is that we're still running a deficit, but with the tariffs now in place, that seems to be taking some money away from the deficit. And so that's a good thing. That's a net positive for us in the long run. We're still on the wrong side, though. We're still in the red, but it's slowly trying to creep its way out. So that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. Now, you say, well, how did this all happen? It happened because you have people in positions of power in this government that hated America. I mean, that's it. That's literally what happened. You have people in positions of power in this country that hated America. And that's why when they make a trade deal with China, China gets to impose huge tariffs on us, but we never got to impose no tariffs on them. And so that created a trade deficit. That created a lopsided trade agreement. All right. That's where the term free trade came in. Because China got free trade on us. Because
that's okay. But anyways, Hogtie, I'll see what I can do about that. I will see what I can do about that.
They didn't have to pay anything. All right. We had to pay to get their stuff, but they didn't have to pay anything to get ours. There was absolutely no tariffs on the imports going to anywhere at any time for any country. And they were literally getting free trade from us. That's why they...
Actually, before all these tariffs, I read this, and take it with a grain of salt, it's from the internet, but I read some list, some index of 100, and I believe it was like 137 countries, with the number one country that imposed the most tariffs, and of course the 134th or 37th or whatever it was country being the least. In contrast, Canada rated it was like 125th, somewhere in there, so pretty much near the bottom. America, USA, at this time, and this is before Trump's tariffs, I believe, ranked like 63rd to 65th, so right in the middle. So this idea that like the U.S. doesn't imply like tariffs or protectionist policies is just not true. And that's why when Kamala Harris was asked why she didn't remove the tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, she dodged it in the debate. She did. I'm sorry, she did. Because that is a protectionist policy to keep those really cheap electric cars out of the American consumers' reach, out of the market, and it gives companies like Tesla and that a chance to make a profit because they can't compete, right? That's just the reality. Anyways, I'm done.
They called it free trade. Well, I don't want free trade. I want fair trade. So if they charge us an import on headlights, we should charge them an import on headlights, et cetera, et cetera. There should have been trade balance. And there wasn't trade balance for years and years and years and years and years. The Bush administration, the Obama administration, the Clinton administration, both Bushes probably. I'd have to go back and look. But you had the Bushes and the Clintons and the Obamas that said, hey, it's perfectly okay if China can charge us a 200% tariff. 200%. Let that sink in for a minute. 200% tariff. And Canada, our neighbor to the north, Canada, 200% tariff on certain items.
Okay, so again, just to correct, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but that's not actually true. The U.S., what he's talking about with the 200%, and Trump has done this, and Trump has kind of altered it a little bit. He still doesn't represent it correctly. So first of all, it's about dairy products, right? So we exchange dairy products back and forth. There is a protectionist clause, right, that after a certain ceiling is hit, that there's tariffs placed on dairy products. But it's so ridiculously high that the United States has never, ever, ever paid 1 penny of tariffs on dairy products. So this 200% bullshit has never been paid. To illustrate it for those in the audience who may still not understand what I'm saying, it'd be the equivalent of me coming to you and say, I know you want to sell your widgets in my yard, right? I'm having a yard sale, you're selling widgets, you want to import these widgets, and I ask you, okay, how many are you selling? Well, I'm selling 50 units a month. Okay, 50 units a month, you know what? I'm going to make it, you can sell tariff-free out of my yard until you hit 500 units a month. And then when 501, I'll hit those with tariffs. You set the ceiling so impossibly high that it's never ever going to hit it. The U.S. has never paid 1 penny in tariffs on dairy products. In fact, the U.S., the reason that like in these terms like deficit get thrown around, like with Canada, yeah, there's technically a deficit because we're 1/10 of the population, so we only buy 1/10 of the things. We still buy like 40%, all said and done, of like U.S. exports. We're the biggest consumer of U.S. Exports. But of course, a country of 400 million are going to buy more things like minerals and stuff. That being said, you actually, when all things considered, have a $60 billion surplus in trade with Canada, especially when it comes to energy, like unrefined oil that we sell you like 15% below market. You refine it and sell it for 3 times the amount. It's not for you to all the heavy oil for the manufacturing is, but you actually sell this stuff and make a killing on it. That's how you make money on it. Anyways, Von Helton's an idiot, folks. It's the shit abyss. I just wanted to clear that up of the 200% tariffs.
Now with Canada, it was eggs and milk and cheese and stuff like that. And with China, it was chips and other microelectronics, servos and all kinds of little circuitry and shit, charging us 200% interest or 200% tariff, excuse me. And we'll see, that no wonder we're in such a deficit. When they're allowed to do that, when they're allowed to charge us that much, no wonder we're in a deficit. I mean, that goes without saying, right? Yeah. So this is good news. I mean, it's, Rome wasn't built in a day, and these upended taxes and whatnot and tariffs and whatnot are not going to change overnight. But this is encouraging. So it'll be nice to see if we can finally get that upended. Now you say, well, Vaughn, how long will it take? Well, I don't know. That I don't know. It could take a while. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. But this is encouraging. So take heart that something is moving. Because I mean, I'm right there with you. I want to see this stuff ended. I want to see America great. I want to see us get a surplus. And it's going to take a little time, hopefully not too long, hopefully within the 4 years of the Trump administration, we'll see. But it's making headway now. Now, obviously, something that I have been screaming ad nauseum for the past, say, maybe 10, 15 years, is that repealing the Act of 1871 and the Act of 1913 would speed that along, because once you repeal those two acts, the fiat currency that has this huge...
Just one more point, just as I got thinking about it. I should have stated it a little different. When I said Americans have not paid 1 penny in tariffs on those dairy products, what I should have said is not 1 penny's been paid on American tariffs regarding dairy products. Because again, it would have been Canadian importers of those products that would have paid it, not the Americans. You say, well, then what's the big deal? What's against the states? It's because, again, it would be to discourage people, Canadian consumers, to buy American dairy products. Because if I bought up, I don't know, Nestle or whatever, I don't even know the American brands, because we usually have local ones here. But versus the local guy, it would be like twice as much, right? It would be 200%. It would be 3 times the price or whatever the hell, right? And we just wouldn't buy it. That's the point. That's the point of tariffs, is to discourage consumers from buying foreign products. So it's the importer that pays it. So American dairy, it would have been the Canadian side that pays it. And if it was 200%, the Canadian side, these importers would have been said, well, that's too expensive. I'll just find local. That's the whole point. That's all I want to say. I just wanted, in case it was confusing. Von Helden's an idiot.
Debt hanging over us no longer exists. Excuse me. And as a result, the debt no longer exists because it was created with the fiat currency, you see. So you get rid of the fiat currency and you absolutely get rid of the debt. It's gone. It does not exist because the money that instituted the debt no longer exists. Now you say, well, Bon, that sounds like a great idea. Oh, it gets even better. Because it turns out that the Act of 1871 and the Act of 1913 are patently unconstitutional and illegal. They say, well, Bon, why in the hell hasn't Congress or the Supreme Court addressed this issue 20 years ago, 50 years ago? I don't know. Because they're on the take. Because they want to decide with the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the Morgans and all these globalists that have taken over the United States. Most of whom are Jews, but there are a few Noahides in there. And for whatever reason, the Congress and the Senate and the House and the Senate and the judicial, the Supreme Court decided to side with the elites, the globalists that took over the country. Because they haven't done anything, have they? No. They haven't done anything. So repealing those 2 acts will literally erase the debt that hangs over us. Now you say, well, Bon, the Act of 1871 established Washington, D.C. It did, which is patently unconstitutional. The Founding Fathers, if you read the Federalist Papers and Anti-Federalist Papers, you will find that the Founding Fathers were absolutely dead set against having a foreign entity on sovereign U.S. soil. And what is Washington, D.C.? Well, D.C., it's not really Washington, D.C. It's just D.C. So what is D.C.? D.C. is an alien entity. D.C. is literally a country within a country. It's its own. It has its own rules, its own regs, its own laws, its own everything. And so it's literally a country within a country, which is unconstitutional on its face. The founders are very clear that no foreign entity is to be quartered on sovereign U.S. soil. They say, well, Von, the UN is a sovereign entity. Yes, it is, which means the UN's not supposed to be here either. They're not supposed to be here, folks. I mean, like I said, go read the Federalist Papers and the Anti-Federalist Papers. No foreign entity is supposed to be quartered on sovereign U.S. soil, period. That is the will of the founders. It's not Von Helm's opinion. That is the will of the founders. Okay, so the UN being here is illegal. Washington, D.C. is illegal. None of these entities, anything that's got power, these supposed UN biospheres and China buying up land, that's illegal. When the Japanese bought a bunch of land in Hawaii, that too was illegal. But see, nobody defends the Founding Fathers. Nobody defends the Constitution. They defend whoever pays them the most money, which is also in and of itself is illegal. So there you are. But this, like I said, this is encouraging. It's not, it's not going to fix things overnight, but it is encouraging. But if we wanted to really fix it, we would repeal the Act of 1871 and the Act of 1913, and that would fix the problem right there. Problem would be solved overnight. Of course, that means we would have to go back to the gold standard, which somebody convinced one of the presidents to get rid of. I'm trying to remember who the hell it was. I think it was, I want to say Nixon, but it might not have been. But one of the presidents got rid of the gold standard. Stupidest thing you should have ever done. Never should have got rid of the gold standard. But see, they did that at the behest of these globalists that had come over here and taken over. See, and so that was a problem. And it still is a problem, and it will continue to be a problem. You got people on the internet now that are saying, oh, happy times are here again, and, everything's great. Didn't they say that under FDR? I'm just asking. Didn't they say, happy times are here again? They even had a song. They even had a song about it. Back in the 50s, I think it was. 40s or 50s or something like that. I forget. But anyways, the New Deal. Well, what was the New Deal? The New Deal was just old socialism rewrapped and put up with a nice bow on it. But it was just old socialism. That's all it was. But yeah, the New Deal, it's going to be great. Everything's going to be fine. And at first, it's going to be temporary. This is just a setback. Yeah, well, we saw how temporary it was, didn't we? Yeah, everything went to shit. They made it permanent. And now we're all screwed, blued, and tattooed, as the old saying goes. So we gotta turn that ship around, and the fastest way to do that is to repeal the Act of 1871, the Act of 1913. The Act of 1871 established Washington, D.C. as a fake capital over the United States, and then the Act of 1913 gave the globalists the power to use our money to go kill a shitload of Russians, biological Russians, over in Russia and take over the country. And it shames me to say that it was America that allowed that to occur. Because if the Jews had come over here and not been able to have gotten a hold of our money, they wouldn't have been able to do the uprising in 1917 Russia. They wouldn't have had the funding. Okay, they literally used American money to fund the extermination of the Russian people in 1917. Jews did that, not Muslims. Muslims have their fair share of evil that they've done in this world, no doubt, and we can get into that later if you want. But the Jews actually did that. The Jews used American money that they acquired by the Act of 1913 to go over to Russia and slaughter billions of innocent Russians in 1917 and take over the country. That is a fact. It's von Helm's opinion. It is a fact. Because if it had not been for the Act of 1913 here in the United States, the Jews would have not had the money to have went over and done a revolution in Russia. They wouldn't have had the money. They wouldn't have had enough money. So, unfortunately, with a heavy heart, it is actually America that caused Russia to fall in the first place. You say, Bomb, I had no idea. Correct. You had no idea. And now you know why I'm so vehement about getting rid of these damned acts. The Act of 1871 and the Act of 1913. Because they are responsible for the slaughter of millions of innocent Russians. You say, Vaughn, could that not be karma for them coming across the land bridge years and years ago as Native Americans and slaughtering all the indigenous white and black folk that lived here? Yeah, I could see that as that. You know, it's funny, in Central America, we actually have documents in Central America that when the Spanish conquistadores came over here, and they're white as a sheep, they looked
J Skull donated $5 through Super Chat. It's amazing that I continue to be amazed by the sheer ignorance of this taint waffle. Man facepalming.
Yeah, I mean, should we be shocked? No. Is it predictable? Yes. But nonetheless, we still watch with mouths agaped. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that.
Looked at him and said, the white man's God has come to seek revenge. Because they knew what they had done. They knew they had slaughtered the indigenous white and black folk that were here. And they said, the white man's God has come, has sent these people here to wipe us out. Which was true in a roundabout way, but not intentional, I don't think. In any event, karma does have a way of equalizing shit, though, doesn't it? Yes, it does. And so I don't know. Perhaps that's the case. Perhaps it is a form of karma to pay back, the absolute slaughter of everyone that was here originally. And so, that's a viable answer. But we'll see. That is something that we can debate later. But anyway, the point is that, yeah, that's a possibility. You may be right on that one. You may be right. I may be crazy. How? But it just may be a lunatic you're looking for. What was that? Billy Joel? Was that Billy Joel? I think it was Billy Joel. Anyway, whatever. But yeah, we're moving on. Let's see. What else are we doing here? We are. What are we doing? Let's see here. We have. Oh yes, we need to do our.
So just last thing on this, just if there's any confusion, I just want to put it back for a second. Right. So this title, as Von Helton is reading it, says U.S. rakes in record $16 billion in customs duties in April from Trump tariffs. But what probably more accurately that should read is U.S. rakes in record $16 billion in customs tariff duties from American companies. Right? So someone's got to pay for this. Again, it's not the person who is exporting out of their country, right? It's the American companies that import. And in fact, Walmart has just announced a warning that their prices are going to be going up very soon. Amazon wanted to add on their checkout the difference in price where you can actually see the amount that's increased because of tariffs, but the Trump administration took a hissy fit and accused them of being, I don't know, political propagandists or something like that, which is weird because apparently Melania Trump has just signed some $40 million deal to have Amazon do a documentary. But it's crazy times. But I just wanted to point that out one more time. This $16 billion gets paid from somebody, right? And it ain't China, right? So I'm just saying that $16 billion is passed on to the company, with American companies, the importers, which inevitably is going to be passed on to the consumer. So yeah, that's great that your government brought in $16 billion in a month that you guys are all going to have to pay for. But anyways, let's move ahead here. Onward and forward, folks.
All right, people. Pardon me. All right, here we go. New former member of Michigan Army National Guard Ammar Abdul Majid Muhammad. Okay, so Ammar Abdul Majid Muhammad said, that's his name, by the way. That's not a descriptor. That's his name. So it's his name is Ammar Abdul Majid Muhammad said. That's his name. Mama said there'd be days like this. There'd be days like this. My mama said. Anyway, arrested for plotting mass shooting at military base on behalf of ISIS. There he is. Hey, there's his face right there. Okay. The feds arrested former member of Michigan Army National Guard Abdul Majid Muhammad Said for plotting a mass shooting at a military base in Warren, Michigan. The DOJ announced that Said, 19, was charged in a criminal complaint with attempting to provide material to support to a foreign terrorist organization and distributing information related to a destructive device. According to the complaint, Said informed 2 undercover law enforcement officers of a plan he had devised and formulated to conduct a mass shooting at the U.S. Army's Tank, Automotive, and Armaments Command, TACOM, facility at the Detroit Arsenal in Warren, Michigan. In April 2025, the 2 undercover officers indicated they intended to carry out Said's plan at the direction of ISIS. In response, Said provided material assistance to the attack plan, including providing armor-piercing ammunition and magazines for the attack, flying his drone over TACOM to conduct operational reconnaissance, training the undercover employees on firearms and the construction of Molotov cocktails for use during the attack, and planning numerous details of the attack, including how to enter TACOM and which building to target, the DOJ said. Holy shit, man, this guy is prepared. On May 13th, scheduled day of attack, Said was arrested after he traveled to an area near TACOM and launched his drone in support of the attack plan. He will make his initial court appearance today in the Eastern District of Michigan. The U.S. Attorney, offices will be asking the court to hold Said is his last name, by the way, in pretrial detention because of his danger to the community and the risk that he will flee, the DOJ said. All right. Now, you say, well, Vaughn, why is this and I was right? It's an I was right because back in 2015, I had warned everybody. I said, hey, the Quran is very clear on this shit, that you cannot turn your backs on these people because they'll do like they did in Lebanon. Well, Vaughn, what did they do in Lebanon? They took over the military, they took over the government, and then they started slaughtering the indigenous Christians of Lebanon. Bridget Gabriel is a survivor of that. She goes all over America, giving speeches about what had happened over there and, all the Christians that had been slaughtered. And I am dry here, folks. So let's see here. Let's see if we can fix our situation here. Know through archaeology is Hubal. Well, Vaughn, what kind of cat is Hubal? What's he like? Well, Hubal, it turns out, has the exact same MO as Moloch: blood drinking, bloodletting, and child sacrifice. So, he's not a good guy. He's a bad guy. And, in fact, you have many Muslims that once a year, they'll take a cat o' nine tails and they'll flail themselves and cut themselves. And, they'll cut the foreheads of their babies, and women will cut their arms, and they'll just bleed like stuck pigs. Well, what's that in homage to? That's in homage to Hubal, the actual god of the Muslims. Allah is not a name. Allah is a descriptor. Allah is a position of power. Allah means greatest of the gods. But Allah is not his name. His name is Hubal. Muhammad is the child of 2 parents that had questionable deities, let's say. They were of a dark path. And the chief among those deities was named Hubal. And at first, Muhammad, if you go and read the documents, at first Muhammad was going to keep the 3 daughters of Hubal, but then he changed his mind at the last second and just said, screw it, we'll just go strictly with Hubal by himself. And so that was that. But yeah, the actual god is Hubal. And you'd be surprised how many Muslims don't even know that. Muslims may even try to argue with me on that, but the problem is that's archaeological fact, not Von Helden's opinion. So deal with it. But yeah, Hubal, it is my belief that Hubal and Moloch may even be the same dude because they have the same MO, They have the same modus operandi, all right? Bloodletting, blood drinking, child sacrifice, all kinds of debauchery, whatever. And the Muslims to this day will say that it's perfectly okay to marry a 9-year-old because their prophet Muhammad married a 9-year-old. And because he married a 9-year-old, that makes it okay. Well, the problem is that back then your life expectancy was only 30 years old. So a 9-year-old back then would have been a young adult. See, that you have to take, and this is what I keep saying to Sam Samuels, the Jew that lives in Israel, who comes on the show every now and then. You have to take things in the context of when they were written. Back then, you only lived to about 30 years old. So a 9-year-old is what? That's a young adult. And so therefore, it was perfectly okay for a 9-year-old to marry, in some circumstances. Now, the Jews, it turns out, actually have proof of this. They have what's called a bar mitzvah. Well, what the fuck is a bar mitzvah, Von? A bar mitzvah is where a Jew becomes an adult. Well, gee, Von, what age does a Jew become an adult? Age of 13. 13. Okay, so the Muslims just barely squeak in there at 9, so they don't quite make the cut, do they? And this bar mitzvah shit was established long before Islam came along, because Islam didn't come along until 650 AD. All right, so the idea, the concept of a bar mitzvah, somebody becoming an adult at 13, was already well established. So when Muhammad came along and married Aisha at 9 and consummated their marriage at 9, he was what? He was a pedophile.
Well, Vaughn is an expert. Anyways, just to be clear, historically, as far as I understand it, they actually married her at 6 years old, and they consummated the marriage at 9, which I'm not even going to get going on all that stuff, and the times are different and all that stuff, but I will say this, there was circumstances why he married her, and typically I think it's within ancient Middle East and even like probably within Islam, I think it's typically more desirable that the girls at least reach puberty, because the whole idea, I think, is to have kids. I mean, these are things that are established years ago when you had to have 9 kids help you on the property and stuff, but yeah, Vaughn would be an expert on all this, so I will give him that. 15 is fine with Vaughn, just so we're clear. So yeah,
engaged in illegal activity. Now the Muslims say it isn't illegal because it's part of their laws or part of their rights or whatever. And okay, whatever. But we have laws now on the books that prohibit that sort of thing, because now people are living to 80 instead of 30, and so therefore a 9-year-old is nothing but a child, right? You can make the argument that back then, a 9-year-old would be a young adult because you only lived to age 30. So, okay, fine. But in this day and age, we live to 80. And so therefore, you have to put those practices in perspective. Lots of P's there. You got to put that in perspective. Okay. That's why I keep telling Sam Samuels and the Muslims and everybody else, you have to go by how things were back then. Okay. When they say the world, in air quotes, what are they referring to? They're referring to that little patch of desert in the Middle East that was their home. That was their world. They did not know what America was. They didn't know, many of them didn't know what Europe was. And they sure as hell didn't know what Australia or New Zealand was. Okay, so I mean, you have to take these things in context. Okay, so their world was what? It was just a little patch in the Middle East, a little patch of desert in the Middle East. That's it. That was their world. Okay, so when you read these documents, it says the world will tremble. It's not referring to America or New Zealand or Australia or Hawaii or no. What's it referring to? It's referring to that little patch of desert that they lived in. That was their world. And that's why the whole world will tremble. The whole world's going to tremble. Yeah, no, it's not America though. It's not America. The new world hadn't even been discovered yet. So there we are on that, and that's putting my historian hat on for a minute. But yeah, that's crazy stuff, man. So I was right. I warned everybody. I said, hey, the Muslims will, you have to get the Muslims out of the military because they will rise up and try to take over the military, killing, just untold American soldiers. And I even have proof of that too, because prior to this, we had an incident where a Muslim rolled a grenade into a superior officer's tent. Anybody remember that story? Because I was the one who reported on it. Did you remember that story? Okay, so I had precedent back then to warn people, hey, the Muslims, you got to get the Muslims out of the military because, hey, Pete Hegseth, you got your ears on out there? Because the Muslims will try to take over the military. They'll try to kill a whole bunch of people and take over the military. All right, you got to get all the Muslims out of the military. You got to get all the Muslims out of government. I don't care if they're a letter stuffer. They can't be in government. You got to get all Muslims out of government. Technically, you should just go on ahead and deport them. Take them back to the Middle East. Now you say, well, Von, hate to torpedo you on this, but, Trump just had a big speech in Saudi Arabia where he was basically kissing up to Islam, even though we're at war with Islam and have been since 1776.
Oh, yeah, like the $400 million jet. But that aside, Von Helton, hopefully he does realize that not all Muslims come from the Middle East. And, there's converts and people born in North America, right? Anyways.
1770 or 1787 at the latest. And so, he's over there kissing ass to Islam, and I'm like, oh no. But I don't know. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise because we can scoop up all the Muslims and say, hey, Saudi Arabia, here, take all your Muslims back. We don't want them anymore. And they'll take them in. I hope that's what this is all about. Being able to get all the Muslims out of here, get them back over to the Middle East where they belong. And actually that's beneficial to the Muslims, believe it or not, because over there they got Sharia courts and they've got, well-established Islamic stuff, whereas here in the States it's foreign. It's not normal. So it actually benefits the Muslims by being over there instead of over here. So scoop up all the Muslims, put them back, send them, give them to Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia can disseminate them to the various countries where they want to go. Sounds like a plan to me, and hopefully that's what Trump is doing. I don't know if that's what he's doing, but hopefully that's what he's doing. Because the Muslims are not supposed to be here. Sorry, they're not supposed to be here. So let them get over there and do whatever they want to do, but they just can't do it here. So anyway, that is 1 hour on the money. In fact, it's 59:10. So that is on the money. So we'll go on ahead and get out of here and went. But yeah, man, so this, this hopefully will bode well for us. There's some good things happening out there, and, there's still some things that I question personally. There's still some things that don't make no sense to me that's out there. But then there's some good things out there. So I'll report on the good as well as the bad when I get the chance. But there is some good things out there. It's, it's slowly, but it's like, God, it's like watching molasses come out of a cup, it's a, please win, but it's moving along. All right. It's moving along. It's like that TV commercial. Anticipation is making me wait, where the ketchup wouldn't come out of the bottle. But so we're waiting. I'm waiting. That's a song too, by the way. I get my buddy over in True Social busy with all these songs. All these songs I'm coming up. They'll put the song in a comment. But hey, they call me the walking jukebox. What can I say? But there are some things, and then there's some things that are pretty scary that's still out there. We'll see how things are going. Hope I do want let me set the stage for this. I want the Trump to do well.
and the Trump administration. I want the Trump administration to do well because my neck is on the line as well as everybody else's. Now that's not to say that, that there are some bumps in the road. I mean, the gods and goddesses tell us that there will be a rough patch before things will get better. Are we in that rough patch? Possibly. Some would probably say we are. I am pleased to note, though, I am now not the only member of Freedom Religion. There are now several people that have joined Freedom Religion and are members, and so that's a good thing. And like I said, and I will reiterate that again, the gods do not need your money. The gods do not need you to kill people. The gods do not need your blood sacrifice or a human sacrifice or an animal sacrifice or even a vegetable sacrifice. If you hear those things or see those things, run like hell away as fast as you can go, because those things are not of the gods and goddesses of Freedom Religion. Anybody that tells you that you have to give money, and let me go on record saying this, anybody that claims to be of Freedom Religion and they come to you saying you have to pay the X amount of dollars, they're not Freedom Religion. They're not any religion, not any legit religion. What does God need with money? Think, people. Oh, God doesn't need your fucking money. What do the gods and goddesses want? They want your loyalty, your fealty. They want your honesty. They don't need your money. Okay, that's insane. So if anybody claiming to be a Freedom Religion says you got to pay this or you got to pay that, that's a flat out lie. I do not endorse it. The gods do not endorse it. And so that person is full of shit. Okay? So let's just be clear on that. Because there's a lot of scammers out there of all different stripes that, oh yeah, man, you got to pay this and such, and you got to do, and it's all bullshit. It's all lies. Okay? So, be advised that there are scammers out there. But I'm pleased to report we're now not an army of one. We now have actual members that have joined Freedom Religion, and so that's a good thing. And they're waiting on the gods and goddesses to work in their lives and improve everything. Now we do have the gods and goddesses promise that they will, quote, restore the great republic. Okay, meaning America. So we have that promise in the can. And so we'll see how that's going. The gods and goddesses can influence the Trump administration to do the right thing. There's forces trying to influence them to do the wrong thing, and then the gods and goddesses are influencing them trying to do the right thing. So we'll see how that goes. And now we have not one, not two, but three pagans in the Trump administration. I forget the third one's name, but the two that stick out are Tulsi Gabbard, who is Hindu, and you now have Casey Means, who is an eclectic pagan like myself. So that's a good thing. So things are changing, folks. They're slowly changing, and it's like I said, it's hella slow. I get it. I'm not stupid, but change is not usually done overnight anyway. So got to take our victories where we can get them, right? And we'll see how things go. Casey Means is very, very cute, in my opinion, and very knowledgeable, very intelligent. And so, and plus she's got degrees and awards out the yin yang, so nobody can say one word to her. So it's great. So this is great. We've got somebody now that can actually tell us, hey, holistic medicine isn't bad after all. Wow, like I said on True Social, I used the chicken soup thing. For years people laughed about chicken soup. Oh, chicken soup can cure the cold, and chicken soup can do this and that, and everybody laughed, because it was thought of as a joke. Well, guess what? Those old wives' tales from years ago weren't jokes. Chicken soup really can. It retard and maybe even eliminate in some cases the common cold in a person's body. This has now been proven scientifically. So those old wives' tales weren't so crazy after all. And that is the whole point of holistic medicine, is to go back to natural remedies instead of pumping our bodies full of these petrochemicals all the time. Petrochemicals, I would add, hey leftists, are you listening? Petrochemicals, I would add, that are killing the fish in the ocean. We had a whole shitload of fish wash up on shore. Remember that a while back? Remember that? That was in mainstream news. What was that? Petrochemicals. Petrochemicals, the same chemicals that are made in the drugs that we take every day. It literally killed the fish. So hey, leftists, if you want to do something to help mankind and to help the environment, there you go. Side with us against Big Pharma, because Big Pharma is killing the fish in the ocean and killing us. Right? So there's something you liberals and leftists can get behind. Right? Yeah. So let's see if you do it. Let's see if you actually do it. Let's see if you leftists and liberals actually get on board and go after Big Pharma with the rest of us. Because this is an American thing. It's a world thing even. And Big Pharma needs to be reined in big time. So anyway, that is 1 hour, actually over an hour now. And so we'll get out of here and win. But yes, I know that's bad English. So he's like, that's a bad English. Yes, I know it is. But it's done purposely. It was done to get you to wake up because it's like 4 in the morning, 4:54 in the morning. So, which means I got to take my meds here pretty soon. Zed's meds. Anybody play Borderlands? Anyways, so yeah, Zed's. I got to take my Zed's meds here in a minute. But we're going to get out of here and win. As far as I know, we're all caught up. I believe every day is a good day when you paint. So yeah. Millions in COVID relief funds went to shadowy companies registered at Wyoming storefront that hundreds of thousands of firms used as an address. Okay, so more proof about what's really going on with COVID. Maybe we can go into that later or something. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, we're going to get out of here and win. Y'all have a pleasant day and better tomorrow. All right? Bye.
All right, folks, and I think that's where we're going to leave it this evening. Like I said, it would be a little bit of an earlier one. We have bridged the 2-hour mark. We're almost 2.5 hours in. So I do want to thank everybody for joining me on another Thursday night. We had a little excitement with the Cryraxx thing, another confrontation on the front porch, caught live, folks. So we'll see how that whole thing unfurls. And we'll get caught up next week with all our other cows. We got King Cobra and Targeted Citizen and Emo. And we got all those dudes as well. So keep your eyes open. Keep your ears to the ground. If you see something, say something, folks. I want you all to have a good night and a better tomorrow.